Hey, what's up everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so this ain't no therapy session. This ain't necessarily a Laker video. I'm just going to talk the NBA because I have something on my mind that is very, very important for everybody in the NBA right now to understand. If you price all of your picks and your players too high, you might as well just tell yourself you're not on the market at all. You can't move if you're asking for a first round pick for Eric Gordon. You can't move if you're demanding 2 first round or unprotected first round pick for Bogdanovich. The trade deadline is going to meet all of us, and you're going to have to come down from them prices anyway. That is what the market can just automatically know, that what we're backing ourselves into is a ridiculously compact and stressful trade deadline that doesn't even have to happen if everybody just puts their thinking cap on and understand that they're being ridiculous right now. Everyone is. I understand that the Los Angeles Lakers have 2 first round picks and they have a LeBron James that they need to make happy. So that right there makes the values of picks pretty dang interesting. I also understand that Rudy Gobert was traded earlier this year for 1 million picks. That also made the values of picks very interesting. I also understand that DeJounte Murray was traded for about 1 million picks. That too made the price of picks very interesting. And the price of picks is going to be attached to the price of everything else, which means the price of everything is going to be very interesting. So I get what I'm looking at. And this is the same thing I said about the Rudy Gobert trade. I'm just going to say it again. The Rudy Gobert trade was essentially the Timberwolves paying a 400% tip on what it is that they were buying. Hear me good. A 400% tip on what it is that they were purchasing. Now, if you, the rest of the market, want to take that tip and say, I want to receive a 400% tip for everything that I sell, then you're just not going to move. You got to ignore that outlier in the market, or investigate it. I don't know what else to tell you, because there's no other way to move if everyone's reacting to the Rudy Gobert trade. Okay? And we understand that the KD, trade demand also locked up the market in the summertime, so that was yet another wedge in between the movement. But I'm looking right now and I'm saying that's not in place. What you have in place is just people pushing each other all the way to the final hour of the trade deadline. That's all that's happening right now. It's everybody's effectively holding their cards too close to the chest instead of saying, you know what, we're all moving the same way, and because of it, nothing's going to get done. Somebody is going to have to come to their senses and bring the value of what it is that they have down. I understand the value of picks are really high for everything that we've said, and because there's a lot of young talent coming into this league that's going to define what this era is going to be. And we've seen enough second round picks and late first round picks turn into Hall of Famers to know that you shouldn't probably be doing anything funny with your picks, on top of the wisdom of everything that we've already talked about. It's just a lot of things pointing in the direction of get picks, don't let them go. But the problem is that everybody in the league, to some degree, needs to let go of something. Every team has needs. Every team has some type of hole. Every team has a young player that they need to either pay or let go of, or an older guy that they need to meet the timeline of, or some type of variation of that. And nobody's moving because these teams that have the pieces that are in place to help make movement happen are doing this. They're pricing everything out of the atmosphere. And I just think it's a stupid way to play. It's stupid in the sense that you might as well just go home. I'm not going to go to the supermarket with $3 and expect to be able to get everything I need. Then when I get there and bring it up to the counter and only have $3, I'm yelling at people for not allowing me to get out of here with the stuff. That's essentially what everybody's doing. We're not moving, y'all. We're not going to be able to leave the supermarket with anything because you didn't bring enough money. Because the price on everything in the supermarket, I guess, is sky high. I guess that's a better analogy. They've priced everything up too far because one guy came in and bought a $700 piece of steak or something. Now they won't think every piece of steak should be sold at that price. This is not realistic. They put themselves out of business, and that's exactly what the market is doing. So I just think that the NBA needs to take a look at all these teams with these overinflated 34-year-olds and fine them for disrupting the market. If you really want to see movement, that's how you got to make the market react. You got to make the market police itself. Or otherwise, you're just going to have individual merchants sitting here putting price tags on stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And that's exactly what you have here. You don't have a marketplace. You have a bunch of greedy people who don't want to let go of what they have but need to move anyway. And with a deadline coming up. And this is going to be a chaotic deadline. Stuff that needs to get done probably won't get done. You're just going to have a bunch of sad owners holding a bunch of useless pieces that they should have let go of for better prices, but they probably going to let them go for nothing. Because it's going to be in the final hour, because everybody's price tag going to be all over the place, because they're all going to have to adjust that price tag at the final hour. It's just stupidity, man. You can see them running toward a wall, and what you're going to end up have happen is a bunch of weirdo trades that never should have taken place. That's exactly what you're going to see. Because most of these teams are not going to not do nothing. That's why the prices are so high, because everybody knows everybody has to move. That's why the prices stayed. That's why merchants got their prices so high, because they know that y'all ain't about to walk out of here with nothing. You're going to starve. So you're either going to give me everything, even if it means cutting off your arm, or you're going to go back to your fan base and explain to them why you didn't come back with anything worth having. But if that's the entire league, which is essentially what it is, then everybody's at square one. Nobody's doing what they're supposed to do. Nobody has an upper hand. So that's what it comes down to. I'm looking at the league. I'm like, man, this needs to be regulated. This needs to be regulated. Because it has a negative reverberating effect on the product on the floor. Even though they found a way to kind of take away from that, because we see higher scores, however you equate that. I don't want to make that a different type of conversation, but the point is, you do have players in situations they shouldn't be in, and it's affecting their careers, it's affecting the product, etc. And it's this keeping it from falling in place. And guys ain't got a lot of time to get their careers right, so I think this type of stuff really does need to be regulated, honestly. You know, this is the difference between a guy staying in a good place for his career and going to another place that needs him and stuff like that. Guys sitting on the back of the benches rotting away at 23 years old because there's too much talent on the team and nobody wants to move because of this. It's like, nah, this is billionaire games affecting athletes who needs to be on the floor. And if y'all don't see how it correlates, that's what I'm here for. That's exactly what it correlates to how guys' careers often go. You wonder how a guy ends up finding himself in a situation? It's because this kind of stuff was happening while he was playing. And so it's like a lot of talent is getting undiscovered or not getting opportunities and stuff like that. And it's not being studied. People are not looking at these angles like, yo, hey, but if they were just have straightened out the market a little bit, then you would have seen players flourish in other areas. He would have got his opportunity. He wouldn't have been leaned on so much, so he wouldn't have been injured as early. Like, these type of things correlate. And everybody's trying to scratch their head, trying to figure out the science of it all. It's there. This is where it starts. This is where you fix it. You look at these GMs and these owners that want to price Eric Gordon with one pick. You know what I'm saying? Want to price Doug McDermott at one pick. No. I'm sorry. When you put a price tag on something like that and you demand somebody pay for it, you're going to have to pay for that. You got to pay for the disruption of the market. There has to be another entity that holds the merchants honest in the presence of whatever waters, so they don't further murk the waters. So that's what the NBA needs to do. They got to figure that out. That's exactly what they need to do. Because this Danny Ainge stuff, even hiking up just because you found a patsy, bro, does not mean that it's just you and that patsy in the room. Once you make that transaction, you have ruined the entire market. Now everybody's looking at you like, congratulations, you helped yourself. Hurt all of us, but... And it's like he gets to move forward into whatever future he gets to move on with, because he got that patsy to give him a bunch of everything. Now he has an unfair advantage into the future. People don't know it or not, but if he does everything he's supposed to do, the Utah Jazz should win at least 2 championships. They should go to the finals at least 3 times because of what he was able to do right there. If he parlays it into enough talent, for which he should be able to, the Jazz are the best team in the league for a little while. So it's like, yeah, does anyone even know that? Like, do y'all even see that? And the Timberwolves are going to have to trade Karl-Anthony Towns or Anthony Edwards in order to get out from under what they've done with Rudy Gobert. That was understood the moment they made the trade. That's the only way out of that. And they're going to need out of that. They got fleeced. They're going to be bad for a long time because of what they did unless they get extremely lucky. And that part is already solidified. There's no undoing that. That's done. You know, A-Rod should have been firing people, suing people. I don't know that he knows that or not, but they tanked your franchise, bro. As soon as you bought it, they tanked it as soon as they did that. Now you got to get rid of some young, talented players in order to fix your situation. It's unbelievable how you allowed that to happen. And even now, people are not outraged about that Rudy Gobert trade. And I'm telling you, if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, it is one of the worst things that ever happened. It's as bad as Joe Smith situation. Worse, even. So that's how I'm looking at them. Like, look, man, the market is screwed. My Lakers, you know, we're in a situation where we're kind of looking at things, trying to adjust our mind to what we need to do versus what it is we're allowed to do, and how we can, if we can't move, then how we need to change our plans and all of that. And I'm just saying, man, I know nobody cares enough about the Lakers other than us on our side, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like, this is what's going on. This is why our team is assessing our front office the way that it is at this time. Because the market won't allow them to make any moves. And while that might be their fault, to a degree, it isn't when you consider the price tag of the crap that they're trying to make happen for themselves. I don't think if the prices on everything was as it should be, we would have to look at Rob Pelinka and say, why haven't you moved? He would have either moved, or we would have known that he's inept because he could have moved and didn't. But what we're looking at is telling us anything that he does is probably going to be bad for him because of the way the market's set up and because of what his positioning looks like. So even though you're sitting there telling him he'd better move, you're also looking there and saying the rubber's meeting the road with the logic, though, because if he does move on some of this crap, if we're informed enough to know what we're getting back, we know we're not better. We know we're not. So it becomes a situation where you're like, Rob, come up with the impossible. But then when you look at it, you're like, man, I don't even think I can come up with the impossible in this market. You're just stuck. You look at LeBron James, and he's like, you know what needs to be done? It's rocket science. And I'm looking at him, and I'm saying, yeah, I know what needs to be done, but it is rocket science, brother. We can't move. We can't move without doing something absolutely bad for the franchise. And if you're happy with us doing something like that, you need to understand why others would be too, who are against us. It's just not the play. So that's what I woke up this morning wanting to say, man. If the NBA itself don't find a way to make the market a bit more honest when they're reacting to stuff like this, then what you're going to end up finding is either some really bad trades as people cave at the last minute that are going to affect the trajectory of a lot of different things going forward, or you're going to have no movement at all and teams are going to be really, really, really underdeveloped as teams. They're going to be underdeveloped as a team. You know, and that's really what it comes down to. You don't want teams going out there leaning too much on your stars, your Ja Morant and your Giannis Antetokounmpos, not having enough help to get them through the season in terms of their health. And you have some of these big names that are making huge contracts being leaned on a little too much. And they're going to start getting these little injuries, and then they're going to start getting real injuries, and you're going to have more teams around the league with more bad contracts because you're going to have more superstars that can't carry these teams. They've been leaned on too soon, too much. Guys like Luka Doncic, you got him playing at this level right now. I don't want to see where he's going to be at 2028 if they keep leaning on him the way that they are, and the markets of this NBA keep being the way that it is. He ain't going to never have no good teammates. You understand what I'm saying? He always going to play 40 minutes a game just to get victories. I just don't think the NBA is moving properly. And it's like you inflate the you know, you do what you do with the referees and the calls so that the scores are inflated and stuff like that. I guess that's supposed to make up for it. That makes it look like none of that's actually happening. That's another thing that inflating the numbers can do. It can hide some of what it is that we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes. But I'm telling you, it's still there, man, because when these guys roll an ankle, these guys twist and mess up an Achilles or blow out a shoulder, it's usually because they didn't have enough backups to help them rest when they needed to sit, or guys that can allow them to rest those knick-knack injuries in games where they don't need to be playing, and have teams that are good enough to win those games. So they ain't got to rush back from those injuries and further mess up their conditioning. These are things that I know teams can do a lot more with if they just had a little more depth, or more move to move, more wiggle room to move in a market like this. And look, congratulations to the team that's going to be able to move Doug McDermott for a first-round pick. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to be able to pull it off, because somebody's going to be desperate enough to do it. But condolences to that team. You feel me? It's that kind of thing. I just don't want to be in that situation as a fan, on either side of it. I don't. And I'm sitting up here. If the Lakers are able to get like 2 first-round picks for Patrick Beverley, I'm going to protest that. Honest to God, I'm going to protest that. Because it's just the imbalance of the market that further murks things up. It doesn't help you just because you're benefiting from it today. It's going to hit you in the back end later on. You're going to be the same team trying to make a move and can't. You noticed Utah had to give up a lot less for Donovan Mitchell than they wanted to, and it's because they took so much for Rudy Gobert. Yeah, that's the truth. So I'm just looking at the situation. I'm like, all right, man. The NBA, you have a problem. You have a real problem. Just because the scores look like things are moving smoothly and fluidly, it does not mean that your Giannis's and your Lukas are going to make it through a full 20-year career like a Kobe and LeBron. They're not. Not the way you are playing them, not the way y'all forcing it. Nope. So that's what I want to say. I think that this needs to be looked at differently. They need to fix the markets, and it needs to come from a middleman that is not a merchant. Don't wait for the merchant to fix the market. That's all I got to say. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching.